tarde, Nuddle. Bolha aqui. Infelizmente hoje vocês não alcançaram o resultado esperado, mas vocês ainda só dependem de vocês mesmos, vocês não dependem de mais ninguém. Mesmo caso do acaso sábado que vem vocês percam para a NTZ, vocês só têm que ganhar do Cruzeiro no domingo. Óbvio que vocês querem as duas vitórias, mas eu queria saber como que tá o clima aí na Kabum e como que tá a cabeça do pessoal, porque vocês ainda estão relativamente tranquilos na sexta posição.
The climate is fine. I mean, we lost the game. We're looking for answers. We lost, I'll be honest, to a play that was extremely predictable, written in the sky. But from the outside, everything is much easier to see. And they made a very good rotation, which we had probably four forms to counter, which we didn't. And then it's pretty much GG if you're going to give this type of advantage to a good team in CBLO.
Maravilha, obrigado, Nando.
Nando, boa tarde. Tá falando, é o Bruno, fala pela Base Rush. Essa semana de fato foi uma semana com adversários bem difíceis, né? Que foi a Vorax e a PEN. Então, mediante ao que vocês treinaram durante a semana, do que vocês estavam planejando apresentar nesses dois jogos, tem como você fazer um balanço pra gente aí pra falar, tipo, o que foi bom, o que foi ruim, o que dá pra melhorar?
Well, obviously, one of the main things we have to focus on is some of the mistakes we're doing in the early game. We're clearly failing at identifying the tempo that the other team has to attack us. And when you do so, and the other team sees the window, like Pain in this game, I mean, game becomes extremely hard. And then on the other hand, one of the things we did good, at least yesterday, is we fell behind a little bit due to our own mistakes, and we didn't play with fear afterwards. And today was the same. I'll be honest, like this fight at Herald, I'm not like disappointed that we took it because it was maybe a matter of a few seconds, which I think we executed because I think the Seraphine ult was about less than 5 seconds from being back when we got engaged on in that Herald. So this week, the entire focus is going to be on the small details that really have a huge impact on the game because it's very hard to come back from early deficits as we saw in the last two games, INTZ and ours right now.
Nando, bolha aqui de novo. E eu queria te perguntar a mesma coisa que eu perguntei pro Abaxel, que a gente vê muitos europeus, principalmente coreanos, na verdade, que vêm para o Brasil, ficam 1, 2 anos no máximo, ou até um split, e voltam e não são muito felizes da vinda ao Brasil, falam, não gostam do cenário brasileiro. Você já está aqui desde 2017, se eu não me engano, talvez até 2016, não, 2017 até onde eu sei, e você aparentemente gosta bastante do cenário brasileiro. Eu queria saber o que você acha que é um fator que atrapalha a adaptação dos estrangeiros, principalmente os coreanos, e o que faz você gostar tanto do Brasil?
Well, number one, of course, the language barrier really doesn't help them. And then I'll be honest, when you come from a world where solo queue is pretty much better than your league, I mean, at some point it is pretty frustrating for them. And like, it's not about like liking or not Brazil. Like, I'll be fully honest to everyone. My goal is to win everything just so I can leave and go to like a better region, to be honest, because I am an extremely ambitious person and I can feel their frustration in terms of coaching, in terms of playing, because it feels like once you start really focusing on something, a lot of the things that you were teaching become forgotten. And for me, that is one of the biggest problem with this region, how it is 2 to 4 year behinds in terms of general knowledge, both in solo queue and competitive versus major regions. And because of that, it feels like the way the games are being won almost never makes sense. And because of that, teams win in ways that don't make sense. And the region is stuck in a spiral, stuck in time. It's very hard to tell. And as a coach, as a player, even for the local, like for anyone that plays in here, it's extremely frustrating at least in my opinion, to go through this type of process. And like about Brazil, it's not that like I don't like it. It's just that I like the region, I like the people, the fans are insane, they're amazing. But as a coach and as a person, I always have the ambitions to push forward, and it is extremely hard sometimes to achieve that in this region. And for me, I'm not going to speak for important Koreans, but this might be a reason why it becomes frustrating for them.
Então, só para esclarecer, você gosta dos fãs, gosta da região, mas você acha bastante desafiador no lado de. Não de todo mundo estar jogando bem, mas é frustrante trabalhar porque o trabalho não desenvolve do jeito que o técnico precisa, que o técnico espera, é isso?
It's not that it doesn't evolve, it's just that when you look abroad and you see the level of play, like for example, their play on top side, it's like at 420, you can already tell they're going to make this play. In the major region, you look at the Korea right now. At 420, they identify this play, which means when we start a dragon, we don't let the wave crash dead center of the lane and bot lane. We crash this wave. If we crash this wave, their Vayne has to go bot. If their Vayne is feeling the threat of being dove, then the other starts to be closer to bot. We use that tempo to send a Rakan towards top, to send a Rakan towards mid. We don't trade 40% of our life when they have full push coming topside, and then the sequence is completely different. And this is one of like I said, one of the reasons why games are won in ways that look extremely easy to counter when this type of knowledge is routine for people. And in here, these types of situations
Não é rotina.
get identified maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds before it's going to happen. And then because this happens, then you have your mid and base, you have your support and bot lane, and bam, it's a free advantage for the other team on top side. And like, if you're a Korean, like you're an import, you see these situations, the mistakes that happen that should never happen. Don't get me wrong. I think my Koreans misplayed that sequence on top side by re-engaging the fight after we had survived the dive, and maybe we were going to lose one camp at worst. But it becomes, as you say, like pesado, I think, is the Brazilian word that we can use here.
Perfeito. Perfeito. Muito obrigado, Nando.